Have you ever stood in front of a mirror and stared at the reflection, only to feel like you don't recognize the person looking back at you? Maybe it's subtle at first, but there's something in that moment that feels off. You look at your face and for a brief second, you wonder, who is this person? It's the version of yourself that once felt alive, full of energy, excitement, and clarity. The version of you who laughed without hesitation, who knew exactly what they wanted, and who lived fearlessly. But somewhere along the way, that person faded into the background. You traded that authentic version of yourself for comfort, approval, and the illusion of peace. You put on a mask not because you wanted to, but because you felt you had to. You said yes when your gut told you to say no. You kept quiet when your soul screamed for freedom. You gave up pieces of who you are, your voice, your passions, your fire, just to make others feel comfortable. All in the name of fitting in, all for the sake of acceptance. The problem? You were sacrificing your true self for the very things that would never fulfill you. I get it. It's easy to fall into this trap. We live in a world that constantly pressures us to conform, to bend, to compromise. And little by little, we lose our identity in the process. The more we try to be someone we're not, the further we drift from who we were meant to be. And that's when the emptiness starts to creep in. You might find yourself wondering, where did the old me go? The truth is you gave them away. And it wasn't for a better version of yourself. It was for a version of you that was more acceptable to the outside world. The truth is, when you start compromising your identity, just to avoid rejection or conflict, you end up losing the very essence of who you are. And that, my friends, is where the real danger lies. Over time, those small compromises become a bigger, insurmountable wall between you and the person you used to be. The more you say yes when you mean no, the more you keep quiet when you're screaming inside, the more you're trading your peace, your voice, your true identity for something that is ultimately empty. It's an exhausting cycle, because the more you give away of yourself, the less you feel like you. And before you know it, you've become a stranger to yourself. A shell of who you once were, just going through the motions of life. It's like walking around with a mask on, pretending to be someone you're not, hoping that someday you'll feel right again. But the truth is, you won't. Because the longer you live this way, the more pieces of yourself you give up until you feel like there's nothing left to give. And so I ask you, have you ever felt like you're slowly disappearing, piece by piece, just to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be? Maybe you've been there too. Perhaps you've been so caught up in trying to make everyone around you happy that you've lost sight of what makes you happy. You've made yourself small just to fit in, and in doing so, you've become invisible in your own life. The world doesn't need another version of someone else's expectations. The world needs you, the real, unfiltered, unapologetic version of you. In today's video, I want to talk about how we can reclaim the parts of ourselves we've lost. How we can stop compromising our peace, our identity, and our worth for others. How we can finally stop pretending and start living life on our terms, without guilt, without fear, and without shrinking ourselves just to make others comfortable. So let's get real. 1. Sacrificing peace. Let's talk about peace for a moment. How many times have you given up your peace to make someone else feel comfortable? Maybe you've said yes when everything inside of you screamed no. Maybe you've kept quiet when you wanted to speak up, simply to avoid conflict or to keep things smooth. And in the process, you found yourself feeling drained, a little bit less like yourself. But here's the thing, this doesn't just happen once. It happens bit by bit, piece by piece, until one day you look around and realize you've sacrificed something vital. Your inner peace. At first, it might seem like a small compromise. A tiny concession here or there doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But over time, this pattern begins to wear down your emotional stability. When you continuously bend your boundaries, when you keep sacrificing your needs to please others, you start to feel like you're losing yourself. Slowly, the person you once knew, the one who felt alive, who was driven by their values, starts to fade. You start becoming invisible in your own life. You keep showing up for everyone else, but somewhere along the way, you forget to show up for yourself. And let's be honest, we all want to be liked. We all want to avoid conflict, to fit in, and to make things easier for those around us. But when we constantly put others' comfort ahead of our own peace, we begin to pay a price. The price isn't always immediately visible, but it's there, quietly eroding your sense of self. Each time you ignore your own needs to keep the peace, you lose a little bit of who you are. Your voice becomes quieter, your desires get pushed aside, and before you know it, you look in the mirror and you're not sure who that person staring back at you really is. It's like a slow leak. You don't even notice it at first, but as time passes, you start to feel the weight of it. The exhaustion builds, the resentment starts to creep in, and you realize that what you've been sacrificing isn't just comfort or convenience. It's your inner peace. You've given it away piece by piece, day by day, to avoid disappointing others, to avoid conflict, and to avoid the uncomfortable feelings that come with standing up for yourself. Here's the hard truth. When you sacrifice your peace for someone else's comfort, you're not helping anyone. You're not helping them, and you're certainly not helping yourself. All you're doing is eroding your own sense of worth. You're putting everyone else's needs before your own, and that leaves you feeling empty, exhausted, and eventually resentful. So let me ask you, when was the last time you stopped and really considered what you were giving up in the name of keeping the peace? How often do you say yes when you mean no, or stay in situations that drain you just because you don't want to rock the boat? It's easy to tell ourselves that we're just being nice or accommodating, but deep down, we know when we're sacrificing something important for someone else's benefit. The most important thing you can do right now is to stop pretending. Stop pretending that you don't need peace. Stop pretending that your voice doesn't matter. Stop pretending that your inner calm isn't worth the protecting. Your peace is not negotiable. It's a foundation. Without it, nothing else holds up. You can't thrive, you can't grow, you can't be the best version of yourself if you're constantly giving away your peace just to avoid the discomfort of standing up for your needs. Here's the takeaway. Stop sacrificing your peace for the comfort of others. It might seem like a small thing in the moment, but over time, this behavior erodes your sense of self and leaves you feeling drained and empty. Your peace is yours to protect. Reclaim it. Make it non-negotiable. Because when you protect your peace, you protect yourself. You preserve your energy. You make space for the person you truly are. And that person deserves to show up fully in their own life. It's time to stop pretending that peace is a luxury you can sacrifice. It's time to stop pretending that the people around you deserve your peace more than you do. Your peace is the foundation of everything. Without it, nothing else works. Reclaim it, protect it, and never let anyone take it away from you again. 2. Sacrificing self-respect. Have you ever caught yourself bending to someone's demands just to keep the peace or avoid conflict? Maybe it's in a relationship, at work, or even with a friend. You know, those moments when you let someone walk over your boundaries, belittle your worth, or treat you with less respect than you deserve. You tell yourself, it's not that big of a deal. I'll let it slide this time, or I don't want to rock the boat. But over time, those small compromises start to add up. And before you know it, your self-respect begins to slip away. The thing about losing self-respect is that it's a silent process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not like you wake up one day and suddenly feel like you don't value yourself anymore. No, it's gradual. You tolerate the jokes that sting a little too much. You let the criticism slide when it crosses a line. You stay silent when someone disregards your feelings. And each time, a little piece of your dignity slips away. This pattern becomes even more dangerous when we start to convince ourselves that this is just what it takes to keep the peace. We start believing that making others comfortable is more important than honoring ourselves. We think that by tolerating disrespect, we're being kind, understanding, or easygoing. But in reality, every time we let someone disrespect us, we're diminishing our own sense of worth. We're telling ourselves, I don't deserve better than this. And that's where the real damage happens. The truth is, if you keep sacrificing your self-respect for the sake of keeping others happy or avoiding conflict, you'll eventually feel like a shell of your former self. You'll start to feel invisible. You'll feel unnoticed, unappreciated, And even worse, you'll start to question your own value. And this isn't just a temporary feeling. It's the kind of feeling that seeps into every part of your life. The more you sacrifice your self-respect, the more you lose the connection to your true self. You become a ghost in your own life, moving through the motions, but no longer feeling seen for who you really are. As the Stoics teach us, self-respect is the foundation of everything. It's not something that can be sacrificed for temporary approval or to avoid discomfort. Without self-respect, nothing else can truly thrive. You can't have true peace, true happiness, or true fulfillment if you're constantly betraying your values, your boundaries, and your sense of self-worth. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminds us that true freedom comes from standing firm in our values, refusing to betray ourselves. It's about aligning your actions with your beliefs, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about knowing what you stand for and not backing down, no matter what. Think about it for a moment. How often have you compromised your self-respect in order to keep the peace? How often have you allowed someone to treat you in a way that made you feel small or unimportant, just to avoid conflict or make them feel comfortable? These moments of compromise are not innocent. They're chips away at the very foundation of who you are. And if you continue to let them slip by, eventually you'll find that you don't even recognize the person you've become. So what can you do about it? The first step is to recognize when you're sacrificing your self-respect. When you feel that little voice inside saying, "This isn't right, you deserve better than this," listen to it. It's your inner wisdom, your true self, calling out for you to stand firm in your boundaries. You don't have to tolerate disrespect. You don't have to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's mold. Your self-respect is sacred, and it's your responsibility to protect it fiercely. Here's the warning. If you compromise your self-respect, you will lose yourself. You'll feel empty, disconnected, and uncertain of who you really are. But if you start protecting your self-respect, if you start saying no when your gut tells you to, if you begin to honor your worth, you'll rediscover your strength, your clarity, and your sense of self. And most importantly, you'll feel whole again. In Stoicism, we learn that true strength comes not from avoiding conflict, but from standing firm in our principles, no matter the pressure. So if someone is crossing your boundaries, disrespecting you, or belittling you, remember that you don't have to tolerate it. You have the power to walk away, to set limits, and to protect your sense of self-worth. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but trust me, it's worth it. To wrap this up, protect your self-respect at all costs. Never sacrifice it for the approval of others or the illusion of peace. When you stand firm in your values and boundaries, you not only protect yourself, but you also show others that you are worthy of respect. You don't need to shrink or apologize for being who you are. And remember, your self-respect is your shield, and no one can take it from you without your permission. 3. Sacrificing time. It's one of the few things in life that we can never get back. And yet, it's so easy to waste, isn't it? We all do it. We find ourselves caught in meaningless conversations, stuck in toxic relationships, or scrolling mindlessly through our phones, losing hours in a haze of distractions. It seems harmless in the moment, maybe even necessary, just to unwind or keep the peace. But here's the truth. Wasting time is a silent violence. Think about it. Every minute you spend doing something that doesn't serve your purpose or bring you joy is a minute you'll never get back. We all know that time doesn't come with a refund. Once it's gone for good. And over time, those small moments add up until you look back and realize how much of your life you've spent on things that don't matter. You've given away your precious time to things and people who don't deserve it, and in the process, you've lost the chance to build a meaningful life. The pattern is subtle at first. You might feel a little drained after a long, unimportant conversation. Or maybe you don't realize how much emotional energy you've been pouring into a relationship that only takes, but never gives. And then, before you know it, a week goes by, a month, a year, and you start to feel it, the emptiness, the regret. You realize that the time you could have spent growing, building, and pursuing your goals has slipped away in little, unnoticed moments. You might even find yourself asking, What did I do with my time? The answer might be uncomfortable, but it's the reality we often face. The opportunity to create something meaningful has quietly disappeared, replaced by the routine of distractions and obligations that don't truly move the needle in our lives. And in the process, you've lost something irreplaceable, the chance to live life fully with intention. This is where Stoicism offers a powerful insight. Time once lost can never be regained. The Stoics were keenly aware of how precious time is. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "You could be good today, but you choose not to. Time is slipping away, and once it's gone, you can't get it back." He understood that every minute is an opportunity to live according to our values, to pursue our purpose, and to build a meaningful life. Stoicism teaches us to use time wisely, not just to fill it up with tasks or distractions, but to align it with our deepest values. It's about living intentionally, about choosing to invest time in the things that matter most. Are we spending time on relationships that lift us up? Or are we giving it away to those who drain us? Are we spending time on our personal growth, our dreams, our passions, or are we letting the days slip by in a haze of things that don't contribute to our true purpose? The Stoics remind us that the real value of life comes not from how much time we have, but how we use the time we are given. Every choice we make about how to spend our time shapes the life we are living. Are we spending our time mindlessly, or are we actively shaping a life that reflects who we are and what we stand for? Here's the warning. Time is irreplaceable. Every moment you waste on unimportant matters, on people who don't value you, or on activities that don't contribute to your growth, you're sacrificing your essence. You're letting the opportunity for meaningful progress slip away. And before you know it, the years have gone by and you've missed the chance to truly live the life you want. So ask yourself, what are you spending your time on? Are you filling your days with things that align with your purpose, your goals, and your values? Or are you letting the distractions of life take over, draining your energy and your potential? The choice is yours, and it's a choice you need to make every day. The truth is, we all have limited time. It's not something that's guaranteed, and it's something we need to respect. To live fully, we have to be ruthless with how we spend our time. We have to choose wisely, and we have to protect our time as if it were the most precious thing we have, because it is. To wrap this up, stop wasting your time. Stop giving it away to things that don't matter, to people who don't value you, and to distractions that only leave you feeling empty. Your time is precious, and it's the one thing you can never get back. Make the most of it. Spend it on what truly matters. Pursue your passions, nurture your relationships, and most importantly, live in alignment with your values. Because when your time is used wisely, it becomes the foundation for a meaningful and fulfilling life. 4. Sacrificing values. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you've had to bend your values to fit in, to gain approval, or to avoid conflict? Maybe you didn't speak up when you knew you should have, or maybe you went along with something you didn't truly believe in just to keep things easy. It might have seemed like a small compromise at the time, something insignificant. But let me tell you, sacrificing your values is not a small thing. It's like chipping away at the foundation of who you are piece by piece, until one day you look up and realize that you're not the person you used to be. Our values are the core of our identity. They define who we are, what we stand for, and how we interact with the world around us. And when we start to compromise them, when we allow fear of rejection or the desire for approval to dictate our decisions, we lose a little bit of ourselves each time. It's subtle at first. Maybe you don't notice it when you let something slide, when you ignore your inner voice in favor of making others happy. But over time, those small compromises start to add up, and you find yourself standing in a place where you no longer recognize the person looking back at you in the mirror. Think about the times when you've sacrificed your beliefs or principles. How often have you kept quiet in a conversation where you should have spoken up, or allowed yourself to go along with something you didn't agree with, simply to avoid standing out or upsetting someone? Each time it feels like a small thing, doesn't it? But it isn't, because each of these compromises chips away at your integrity. It dulls your sense of self and leads you further away from the person you're meant to be. The truth is, the fear of rejection or the desire for approval can be powerful motivators. We all want to feel accepted, to feel like we belong. But here's the catch. When you sacrifice your values to fit in, you're not only losing yourself, you're losing the very thing that makes you unique. You're bending to external pressures and allowing others to define who you are. And that's when you start to live a hollow existence. The Stoics, however, had a different perspective. They understood that living in alignment with your values is the true path to freedom. They didn't see values as some rigid set of rules to follow. They saw them as the foundation of a life well lived. Values give us strength and clarity, especially in a world full of distractions, temptations, and noise. They help us stay grounded when things around us try to pull us off course. When you live in alignment with your core beliefs, nothing can sway you from your purpose. Your values become your compass, guiding you through life's challenges with confidence and clarity. The Stoics also warned us about the dangers of compromising our values. The slow erosion of self happens not in one dramatic moment, but in many small, seemingly insignificant compromises. Every time you abandon your principles for the sake of fitting in or gaining approval, you lose a little bit of your true self. The more you bend, the more you become someone you no longer recognize, someone who is just going through the motions rather than living with purpose. So here's the warning. If you sacrifice your values for temporary gains, you will lose yourself. You'll feel disconnected, empty, and lost. And the worst part is, you won't even realize it's happening until it's too late. The Stoics urge us to protect our core, our beliefs, and our integrity. These are the things that define us, that keep us strong when the world around us tries to make us bend. If you abandon them, you risk losing everything that makes you truly free. What can you do to prevent this from happening? The first step is to get clear on your values. What do you stand for? What are the non-negotiables in your life? What are the things that matter most to you? When you are clear on your values, you will have the strength to stand firm in your beliefs, no matter what external pressures try to pull you off course. Next, practice living in alignment with those values. Don't just pay them lip service. Live them, breathe them, make decisions based on them. It might not always be easy. You might face resistance, disappointment, or even rejection. But remember, true freedom comes from standing firm in your values, not from pleasing others or avoiding discomfort. The Stoics believe that it's in these moments of challenge, when we stay true to our principles, that we build true strength. So if you find yourself compromising your values, if you feel like you're slowly losing who you are to make others happy, take a step back. Protect your integrity. Your values are your foundation, and they are worth protecting. If someone or something is asking you to betray your beliefs for the sake of comfort, approval, or ease, walk away. Trust me, what you lose in that moment will be far less than what you gain by staying true to yourself. To wrap this up, never sacrifice your values. They are the core of who you are. When you compromise them, you compromise your very essence. Stand firm in your beliefs. Live with integrity. And remember, the Stoics were right. True freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from living a life that is aligned with your values. Protect your core and never let anyone make you compromise who you are. 5. Sacrificing inner peace. Inner peace, it's one of those things we often take for granted until it's gone. How many times have you found yourself caught up in someone else's chaos? Or maybe you've let external distractions or toxic energy from the world around you chip away at your peace. It might start small, a stressful situation at work, a disagreement with a friend, a social media post that triggers you. But before you know it, these little disturbances snowball, and suddenly you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and disconnected from your true self. We live in a world filled with noise. Everywhere we look, there's something demanding our attention. Endless notifications, conflicting opinions, pressure to meet others' expectations, and the constant bombardment of information. The world is loud, it's chaotic, and it's full of distractions. It's easy to get swept up in it all, to let the external noise dictate how we feel. But here's the hard truth. Inner peace is sacred. It's not something to be traded or compromised for the sake of keeping up with the noise. It's easy to let external forces invade our peace. Maybe it's the drama from friends or family, or the pressure to live up to a certain image or standard that society sets. We start sacrificing our peace for approval, for acceptance, for external validation. And with each sacrifice, we lose a little more of our emotional well-being. The cycle continues. Stress leads to burnout, exhaustion leads to confusion, and eventually we lose ourselves in the process. But here's where Stoicism offers a crucial insight. True peace comes from within. The Stoics understood that while we cannot control the external world, its chaos, its noise, its distractions, we can control how we respond to it. True peace isn't something that can be taken from you by others. It's something that comes from mastering your internal state, regardless of what's happening around you. The Stoics taught that we must protect our inner calm, and we must refuse to let external forces dictate our emotional state. Imagine this. You're in the middle of a stressful situation. Maybe someone is criticizing you, or a problem rises that you didn't see coming. The world around you is in turmoil, and the natural instinct is to react, to get angry, frustrated, anxious. But a Stoic would pause. They would take a breath. They would recognize that while they cannot control the external situation, they can control their response. They can protect their peace. True peace isn't about avoiding conflict or withdrawing from the world. It's about maintaining calm amidst the storm. It's about staying grounded, no matter what happens. Let's be real for a moment. This isn't easy. Life will always throw challenges our way. People will try to pull us into their drama. The world will keep demanding our attention, our time, and our energy. But that doesn't mean we have to let it all consume us. Sacrificing your inner peace for the sake of others or for the pursuit of external validation will only lead to emotional exhaustion and a deep sense of loss. You'll find yourself running on empty, giving and giving until you have nothing left to give. Your peace will be shattered, your energy drained, and you'll start to feel like you've lost yourself along the way. Here's the warning. Your peace is non-negotiable. It's too valuable to give away, too important to sacrifice. Protect it fiercely. And that means saying no when you need to, setting boundaries with people who drain you, and refusing to let the chaos of the outside world disrupt your inner calm. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to have it all figured out, but you can choose to prioritize your peace, to guard it, and to keep it sacred. A Stoic practice you can try is to regularly check in with yourself. Ask, am I allowing external circumstances to take away my peace? Am I reacting impulsively, or am I staying centered? It's about creating space between stimulus and response. It's about remembering that you always have the power to choose how you respond. And if you find yourself caught in a storm of emotions, take a moment to breathe, to pause, and to ground yourself in your inner peace. To wrap this up, protect your peace above all else. Your inner peace is the foundation of your emotional health. It's your strength in times of trouble, your clarity in moments of confusion. Don't sacrifice it for the sake of others or for external validation. When you protect your peace, you protect yourself. You ensure that no one can take your calm, no matter how loud the world becomes. Conclusion. We've covered a lot today. We've talked about peace, self-respect, values, and time. How we often compromise these non-negotiables in the name of comfort, approval, or avoiding conflict. But here's the truth. Life is too short to keep sacrificing the very things that make you whole. Your peace, your self-respect, your time, your values, these are sacred. These are the foundations of your strength, your clarity, and your ability to live an authentic, powerful life. And when you protect these aspects of yourself, you don't just survive, you thrive. True strength doesn't come from fitting in or pleasing others. It comes from standing firm in who you are, knowing exactly what you value, and never allowing anyone or anything to take those things from you. The moment you start protecting your peace, your self-worth, and your time, you unlock a power within yourself that cannot be shaken by external forces. And that's when life really begins to unfold the way you've always wanted it to. So I want to leave you with this thought. It's time to reclaim what you've given away. Reclaim your peace. Reclaim your self-respect. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your values. And most importantly, reclaim your inner peace. These aren't luxuries. These are the bedrock of a strong, fulfilled life. Without them, you're lost. But with them, you have everything you need to live fully and authentically. Now, I want you to think, which of the 5 non-negotiables are you reclaiming in your life right now? Is it your peace, your self-respect, your time, your values, or perhaps you're starting to reclaim all of them? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Drop a comment below and share what you're doing to protect these sacred parts of yourself. Your story might just help someone else who's going through the same journey. If you found this video helpful and empowering, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. If you're ready to start living a life where you're fully aligned with your values and inner peace, stick around because there's so much more to explore. Remember, you deserve to live authentically. You are worthy of your peace, your time, your self-respect, and your values. Never let anyone or anything take them from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.